24 hours ahead. It's the next game. It's going to be a fascinating contest, I can tell you, from Southampton between South Africa and the West Indies. The beleaguered South Africans, oh boy, they are looking to every little bit of inspiration. Without Steyn, without Lungisani and Ngidi, they will really have to step up their game against the West Indies, who despite the loss against Australia will be very confident. So you'd have to say early days that West Indies would start that one favourites.
Yeah, but if the match happens, we've been hearing that there's a huge cloud cover on top, and it could be washed off. But if it doesn't, yeah, they definitely start as favourites. They go into the game with a proper full side without any injuries, with everything going well for them. I think the last game is probably a blip, but you kind of anticipate that with West Indies from time to time. But I definitely think against South Africa they're going in favourites tomorrow.
Yeah, let's have a look at the squads first, and we'll start with the West Indies since we've mentioned them first. Whether or not they're favourites, well, we'll leave that. In terms of team selections, we thought the last time around Kemar Roach should have been pushed in there, but the fact is when you've got O'Shane Thomas and Sheldon Cottrell bowling that well, you just don't want to disturb that. However, instead of Ashley Nurse, Zahir, do you see another quick bowler coming in against South Africa?
You're talking about that those top four in that points table. I think you cannot rule out this team.
No, yeah.
So because they've been playing good cricket. I think even the last match which they played against Australia, they could have closed that game, even with the ball, even with the bat. So they're doing a lot of things right. What they couldn't do in the last game is that adapt to the game as it moved along. That's something which was missing from them. So they need to be more proactive. And I'm sure after that last game, they would have had that kind of a meeting, that kind of a chat around the group to fine tune those kind of things. I think I'm definitely backing West Indies for tomorrow's match against South Africa. I think for South Africa, it's going to be a mountain to climb because they got too many things to deal with at the moment, not only with regard to what's happening in the camp, what's happening outside of the camp also. Even those kind of things really play a huge role because they drag along, isn't it? They drag along in the dressing room. They drag along in practices. In terms of your fans, in terms of people around you, they keep asking you questions around that. Okay, what was happening with the selection of AB de Villiers, whether it was a right thing, wrong thing. Barring that, there are injuries. On top of that, they are not able to close the games the way they should be. They certainly have the potential. They have the potential to turn things around, but I don't think it's going to be that easy. I don't think it's going to be their World Cup from that regard. And we'll get to know. We'll get to know tomorrow if West Indies lives up to their expectations, and knowing Southampton track, if the game happens, there will be some extra bounce, and two-paced wicket is something which we have seen so far. So that will actually play in West Indies' favour because they have 5 seam bowling options?
Yeah. Well, before we go to South Africa, just one more point to close in on the West Indies. Somebody you've shared a dressing room with, Andre Russell. Now, despite all the wonderful ability that he has, after his little naughtiness in the last game, is he the kind of person to take on board a little rap on the knuckles from the management to say that was not the right shot to play?
But the shot, no, I don't think he would he'd even perceive that as a rap on his knuckle. I think as in for him, if that comes off, that's a 6 or a 4, right? So he's always backing himself 1,000%, without an iota of a doubt. He's backing himself 1,000%. So he's not going to shy away from playing how he knows to play. That's how he plays his cricket. That's what's brought him in the teams that he represents success. So he's going to stick to doing that, and that will work for him 8 out of 10 times, and he's happy when it works for him 8 out of 10 times, because 8 out of 10, if you can get it 8 out of 10 times and be successful, then why not? Yeah, that's a good strike rate.
All right then, he's an enigma, and that's the way he should stay. Let's move on to the South African squad, because you don't really have 15 to choose from, unfortunately, because Ngidi is still not available for selection. Dwayne Pretorius in the first game showed that, well, only if he has to be in the 11. So the real change we are thinking of possibly, Zahir, is Buran Hendricks coming straight in, possibly for Tabraiz Shamsi.
That's the call they'll have to make, but now you have to see what works against West Indies side. They've always been susceptible of playing the wrist spinners. So that's the debate which they'll have to have. Apart from that, I don't see any more changes in that playing 11. They'll have to put up more in terms of batting for sure. They'll have to have a chat around their batting group, how they can approach the innings. Chris Morris was very good in the previous match. Rabada again is going to be key as far as bowling is concerned. But Quinton de Kock and Faf, I think, and Hashim Amla, they need to take more responsibility in terms of making sure that they achieve that start and the platform which is required for their bowling to capitalize on.
It's a good point on Shamsi, maybe horses for courses. But if you're saying strengthen the batting, Aiden Markram, give him another shot there because Miller hasn't quite fired.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. As in, you would give Aiden Markram another go, but where? Because he's an opening batsman in limited overs cricket, or in all forms of cricket. But where will you give him an opportunity? Because the Amla and Quinton de Kock pair are their original pair. That's the pair that they've been playing for a long time with. So you don't want to change that because you don't want to disturb that too much. And the last time Aiden and de Kock batted together, there was a suicidal run out that happened. So they probably, it's a hard call to make, but it's not like JP's batted badly as well. He got a 40 odd in that first game, in that second game against Bangladesh. So I'm quite confused as to what they're going to play. But I definitely think, in my view, I don't think Shamsi will play because I think, with all due respect, he'd be taken all over the park because they'll be eyeing someone like Shamsi. Someone to give them a little bit of air, someone slightly slow through the air. Because I know for a fact that Chris Gayle will target one bowler in every team. He's going to target one bowler in every team, and that could, if Shamsi is playing, that might as well be Shamsi.
Yeah, and you don't want to. I mean, I think the Southampton City Council would also be careful because not too far from the ground is the Titanic Museum, which they're very careful about. They like to handle it with kid gloves. So you don't want the West Indian hard hitters to go and having balls raining into that Titanic Museum from there.